Hey, everybody. I hope all of you are well and emotionally fit. This is actually a very impromptu video, and I wanted to come across and talk about something that I believe to be true, and I also believe it to be very, very important to talk about it. And I'm going to tell you what it's about in a second. But recently, a really close family member and I ended up into an argument. And the old version of me possibly would have gone very heated up in the argument and, been very, very forceful and strong in my way of coming across the point that I do believe. But this time I felt I was a little more contained. I was a little more structured. I was a little more assertive in what I wanted to say. And the topic was all about spiritual practices, okay? And this was the basis of the argument. So she said that we have to have spiritual practices, and they are the be all and end all of getting the results that we want in our life, right? And I said that I don't agree, because my perspective is that one has to take action towards what we desire by just doing a spiritual practice. And I think the bend of mind in this conversation was more about doing specific religious chants or doing specific kinds of meditations or doing specific kinds of fasting and those kind of routines. Okay, now while I know this is very, very essential and all of these have super benefits, I use a lot of spiritual practices. Okay, I am a very spiritual person as compared to religious, but my take on it is slightly different. Okay, it's slightly different. That I believe that whatever one desires, whatever one wishes to have, whatever one wishes to be, whatever one wishes to do in their life, requires a certain action step. And I use the word action step a lot because it's necessary to do something to make something happen. Okay, and I'll give you an example. If I feel like eating pancakes, okay, there needs to be an action before that so that I can eat pancakes. Now, there are two choices in the actions. One action can be where I pick up the phone, Deliveroo, and get it ordered to my doorstep, and ordered and delivered to my doorstep. And the second action could be that I, go and buy some ready pancakes from Waitrose. Or my third action could be that I get up and go to the kitchen and put together a pancake batter, make some pancakes, have the choice of toppings that I want, and I can eat them, right? So when I'm talking about action steps, this is what I'm referring to. So whatever we desire, whatever we want, there needs something to be done about it. Now, whether you do that thing yourself or whether you get somebody else to do it, it is still an action step. So whether I go and make the pancakes myself, or whether my husband makes them for me, or whether my son makes them for me, or whether I order them, all of these are action steps. Okay, and this is exactly what one has to do with our life goals and what one desires to have, or even desire to not have in our life. Okay, just by having spiritual practices or just by following the crowd, and I'm saying following the crowd because I see a lot of people adapting or taking on stuff that works for the others. You just, like, let's say my friend meditates regularly and it really works for her a lot. right? So if I just start trying to do the same thing in my life, I expect the same result to happen. But the fact is, I can't meditate. It doesn't work for me. Not the meditation doesn't work for me. The process of meditation is not working for me specifically for the results that I want. Okay. So by just meditating, or by just following a certain spiritual practice, or by just doing the chanting, or one of my family members even is heavily into astrology. So by just consulting an astrologer, things are not going to happen for you in your life. Okay. What is the purpose of the spiritual practice? What is the purpose of consulting an astrologer? What is the purpose of any of that? The purpose of any major spiritual practice, any major traditional wisdom method, is to provide the fuel. Okay. And I'm saying the word fuel because it needs it, that is what is required to provide the energy, to provide the support, to provide that bigger force. Okay. But it cannot, no spiritual practice, none of any of these methods, by the chanting or by consulting the astrologers or by doing what the astrologer says, it's not going to make the result happen for you. Okay. And I know it's an extreme example, but by having a spiritual practice or by consulting an astrologer, I'm not going to have pancakes land on my table. Okay. I'm not discounting any of them. I appreciate every single one of them. I love astrology. I'm very intrigued by it. I love, concepts like tarot. I love concepts like human design, which is a new big thing. And if any of you haven't heard of it, please go and Google it and look it up. I love all of that. But every single one of these are guidances. They have to be used as guides. They have to be used as maybe a compass, that is going to take you forward, but it's going to at least guide you on what path to go. It's not going to walk the path for you. Okay, so the action has to be taken by you, right? So like I said, the action for having something, for doing something, for being someone has to be taken by you. So for example, if I want to dress in a certain way today, I felt like wearing polka dots. I had to make sure that I have a polka dotted dress firstly. I had to also make sure that I put that on, right? And the dress was in a wearable condition. It wasn't in the laundry or whatever else. Right? By just sitting and desiring like, oh, I really wish to wear a polka dotted dress today and I'm going to meditate over it. I'm going to chant about it. It doesn't happen like that. Right? But a lot of times people put that heavy reliance, the heavy reliance on spiritual practices to make something happen for you. And that's not the way life works. Okay. So I want to emphasize this over and over and over again. That if you desire something, if you want to be someone, if you want to be like someone, or if you just want to be yourself because you've spent a really long time feeling out of sync, for whatever reasons that are happening in your life, it's necessary that you have to take some action towards it. And every possible spiritual method that you will apply may work or may not work for you to help you get that fuel, get that energy that you need to move forward. Yeah. There's another example that came up a few weeks ago from somebody, right? This person was going through a really difficult time, a bit of anxiety, stress, all of that happening. And they were guided by, one of their mentors to sit down and chant. And the chanting became just something that the person did. But the chanting didn't take the anxiety away. The chanting didn't take the stress away. It only distracted the mind in that moment when the chanting was being done. It distracted the person's mind when they were chanting. But it didn't get rid of the reason why the anxiety and the stress was there in the first place. It couldn't, because the moment the guy stopped chanting and went on to his daily life, the anxiety and the stress was back. So it's also about, like I said, you might want something in your life, but also sometimes you don't want certain things, right? You don't want the anxiety. You don't want the stress. And we think that by just having a spiritual practice, we will get rid of it. All our problems are going to go away. You know, things will be fine. We will not feel scared anymore. We'll not feel anxious anymore. We'll not be stressed anymore. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can feel distracted for some time. Your mind can get distracted from the stress, but until and unless you fix the root cause, nothing's going to happen. The stress will keep coming back. So when you are not distracted, the stress will come back. Okay. And it's very important to realize this, because there are tons of different spiritual practices and they all are fantastic and they all work, but they may not always work or give you the same results. So if I had to give you a metaphor around this is, you know, the pharmaceuticals, easiest thing for all of us to understand. There are tons of different medicines, right? There are tons of different medicinal use drugs that are available, but you have to take them for a specific reason based on the symptoms, right? So a doctor may prescribe you paracetamol if you have a fever, you have a cough, you have a cold, you feel tired, whatever else. Now that's a standard prescription, yes, and we know it will work. But if you have something else, you have an infection, there's going to be an antibiotic coming in. Okay. Even within the antibiotics, there's going to be a different antibiotic that will work for your specific type of infection, correct? I think everybody can relate to this. So there will be a lot of times when a specific spiritual practice will work for you and a specific one may not work for that particular situation, right? And that is one of the biggest reasons why people feel confused and say, oh God, I've been trying to meditate for so long, but I'm just not getting the result. Oh, I've been doing yoga, but I'm just not getting rid of my anxiety. Oh, I'm going to these particular classes. Or I'm chanting my God's name for however long. Please do all of these because they are necessary, they're essential. But also understand that not all of them will work for all of the situations that you face. Okay. And I think where people tend to get exhausted or they feel overwhelmed is because they're constantly trying new methods. They're constantly trying something, doesn't work, then they go and try something else, doesn't work, then they go and try a third thing and it's still not working. They're still feeling all of the emotional struggles. They're still not having the results they want. They're still not being able to be who they want to be because of all of those challenges. So it's really, really essential to understand, and know that if something isn't working, that means it's time to change course. And you know what the beauty of it? The other thing I have to emphasize and highlight this, when the spiritual method is right, when it is the right method or the right type of method for your particular situation, the results are instantaneous. Okay. So when I give a lot of different methods to my clients, to the people who I coach, different kinds of methods, and these are methods where I use a combination. So I will use the fundamental of meditation and I will combine it with an NLP process that, I'm a trainer and I'm a certified NLP trainer. Yeah. Or I will use the fundamental of yoga and I will combine it with something else, because that is what needs to make sense for the person for their specific challenge, right? And if I may, I might even go ahead and call it an emotional fitness prescription, so that prescription is unique to the person's specific situation, right? So when we follow just the one practice, or when we force ourselves to follow just the one practice, it doesn't work, because there is resistance, because there is this whole, negative push, negative force, negative pressure. Yeah. But when you are able to identify, when you're able to combine a spiritual practice with a humanly actionable step, humanly actionable method, that's when the results come in. Yes, because we are human beings, and spiritual practices or spiritual energy has existed for way before we became human beings, right? Before even human beings ended up getting evolved into the world. So spiritual energy, if you think about what is spiritual energy, is the energy of the universe. It's always existed way before us, and it'll continue to exist even if, planet Earth gets wiped out, which right now everybody is waiting to save. So the point being that will always be there, right? The idea is, how do you use that energy? How do you use the understanding? How do you use the fundamentals and make what you want happen for you? So if you're doing a daily spiritual practice, and my mom used to do this a lot, bless her, she's no more, but her thing was that every morning she would wake up and she would have her bath and she would want to do her puja. So anybody who's listening to this who's not Indian will know puja is basically our normal everyday spiritual worship, okay? Where we light a lamp and we light an incense stick. So she would want to do that every day. And there would be days where she'll get busy doing household chores. She would get caught up in decluttering. She'd get caught up in, making the room look different and all of that. And before you know it, it would be 12 in the afternoon. And suddenly she's realized she's not had a shower and she's not done her puja. And she'd start freaking out like, oh my God, I've not done my puja today, And I would always go like, it's okay, mom. Have your shower and do it now. It's not a big deal. And she goes, no, it has to be done at 7 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, but you were busy. You were also involved with doing something else that was important at 7 in the morning. It was important for her with whatever task she was doing, right? So why put the pressure on something that has to be done? Because you are also balancing yourself in the other side, which is your human side, making your environment more beautiful, making your environment more tidy, whatever it is that she was busy with. So point being that if you're following any kind of practice because you have to, or because you think that that's the only way to do it, and you're expecting a result, it's not going to happen. And you know that it's evidence that if your results haven't come till now, it's because something isn't working. And what's not working, if you keep pursuing it, it'll continue to not work. Okay. So again, emphasizing that both need to be used. So you need human actionable steps that are suitable to you, that work for you, that are specific to your kind of lifestyle, that are specific to your kind of personality. Okay. And that's when you combine your spiritual method to work for you. There are tons of them. Okay, I love doing vision boards with my clients, but I have a completely different strategy around them. Okay, a common way of doing vision boards would be, I think everybody who knows what a mood board or a vision board is, to look for pictures that you like and then make a collage out of them, and hey ho, hunky dory, everything is great, and things start manifesting in your life. Yes, that's the way it That is the physical process of the vision board. But that is where a spiritual angle needs to come in, okay, to make it more empowered, to make it more big, to make it like no-brainer that it has to work, that it has to come true. Okay, so that's how I combine all of my coaching methods. And I can guarantee that they've given results to every single client who's come my way. They've definitely given results, whether a lot of times the clients don't realize it. They're like, they wonder after a few days, like, oh, how is it that I'm not feeling stressed anymore? Or how is it that I'm not feeling anxious anymore? Or how is it that suddenly that spa holiday that I've been dreaming about, suddenly it happened without me even trying to book one? You know, it happened, like suddenly they'll get these, you know, promotional offers in the post or something like that. And they'll be like, yeah, oh, okay, there's a promotional offer. Let me go get the spa holiday. So they haven't really thought about it. They haven't, like, they wanted it, but they haven't planned for it. And then suddenly an offer comes and they'll say, yeah, let's take it and let's go. Okay. So things do happen. So use the spiritual practices, use the energy of the universe to fuel it, to support it. Don't use it to make something happen for you. Okay, or don't expect that that's going to make things happen for you. I hope you're getting the drift, and I hope this lands, because it's very, very essential to learn this. It's very essential to know this. It's very essential to believe it. Okay, that until you take the action, things are not going to happen. So don't just try to, don't stress yourself thinking, oh my God, I can't meditate. It's okay if you can't meditate. It's okay if you don't go to a yoga class, but what are you going to do instead that's going to help you achieve, become, you know, do what is it that you desire? That is the most important. So I would love to hear your comments on this and your take. Please share it with me in the comments below, and I would love to hear what you think. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.